Welcome to the deep dive. You know, they always say everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh, yeah. That saying definitely holds up.
And, well, we decided to apply that to its ghost stories. We've
Mm.
looked at the history, the legends, all the claims,
Yeah.
and they really confirm it. The state's whole supernatural side is just immense. It's varied, often pretty violent, too.
That's absolutely right. I mean, if you just look at the history itself, the really brutal conflicts, the way things develop so fast, sometimes without much regulation,
Right.
and, these moments of mass tragedy, all concentrated, Texas basically created this perfect, almost high-energy storm for hauntings to stick around. It's a real hotspot.
So for you listening, our mission today is really to break down some key types of hauntings you find there. We're looking at the big historical battle sites first,
Definitely.
then those glamorous old hotels where personal tragedies seem to get trapped.
Always fascinating, those ones.
Yeah. And finally, some of the really strange, kind of aggressive spots, isolated locations. We want to give you not just the names, but the specifics, what people actually see or hear or even smell,
Yeah.
the things that make these places really lodge in your mind.
Exactly. And we trace it back. The deepest historical scars, well, they come from the Texas Revolution. So that's where we have to start, really. The hauntings tied to military conflict, mass tragedy.
And you can't talk about that without starting at the Alamo, San Antonio.
The big one.
That 1836 siege,
Mhm.
horrific, hundreds died, buried in mass graves. But the haunting story that always gets me is the one that apparently started right after the battle finished.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that one because it's such a brilliant example. A historical haunting that immediately becomes this protective legend.
Right. So Santa Anna wins, but then he sends his soldiers back to just level the place, destroy the fort completely.
So no one else could use it. Makes sense militarily.
But they couldn't do it. They came back absolutely terrified.
And what did they say they saw?
Ghostly figures. The sources sometimes say 6 monks, silent. Others even call them Diablos, guarding the walls with actual flaming swords.
Flaming swords. Incredible imagery.
Totally. The soldiers just refused to go near it. And that refusal, well, that basically preserved the ruins, didn't it?
It's a powerful origin for the haunting, for sure. And beyond that sort of protective energy, there are very specific ghosts people claim to see inside the Alamo compound today.
Oh, yeah. The most famous has to be Davy Crockett, right? People report seeing him kind of transparent in his buckskins and coonskin cap.
Holding his rifle, standing watch.
Exactly. And then there's that really sad one, the little blonde-haired boy, always seen in an upstairs window, looking for his father who died in the battle.
Just heartbreaking. And it's not just sights, is it? There are sounds, too.
Definitely. If you listen, especially at night, they say, you can hear the battle. Screaming explosion.
And that music.
Ugh, yeah. The faint notes of El Degüello. That was the Spanish bugle call for no quarter.
The signal Santa Anna ordered basically meant take no prisoners, kill everyone.
Hearing that, knowing what it meant in that moment,
Yeah,
deeply unnerving.
absolutely. And if we move just a little south, the trauma continues. Presidio La Bahía, near Goliad.
Ah, the Goliad Massacre. Another awful event just weeks after the Alamo. Over 300 Texan soldiers captured, then executed.
And the sources really emphasize the feeling of the place. People talk about this really heavy energy, especially in the courtyard quadrangle. That's where many of them died.
And Colonel Fannin, the commander, he's seen there sometimes.
Occasionally, yes. But not, running or fighting. He's seen seated, blindfolded, just waiting for his execution. It's his moment of dread captured.
Wow. And the other things people report there are, well, they're intense.
Visceral is the word, the phantom smell of rotting flesh.
And phantom blood splattered on a wall.
That's the claim. Apparently, it's been vivid enough sometimes to attract vultures to that spot, actual vultures circling something that isn't physically there.
That's something else. A haunting affecting the real world like that.
It really crosses a boundary. Okay, shifting from land battles, let's go naval. The USS Lexington.
The Blue Ghost in Corpus Christi. Huge WWII aircraft carrier.
Huge, and with a heavy history. Over 400 deaths connected to her service. That alone suggests why there'd be activity.
And a lot of it seems focused down in the engine room, right? Where that kamikaze attack hit hard in 44.
Exactly. People report not just sounds like screams, but a sudden, really unnatural blast of heat if you go down there.
And there's a specific spirit, the engine room operator.
Yep. His presence is often signaled by the sound of clanking tools, like he's still trying to fix the damage from the attack. Perpetual work.
And then there's the more common sighting, the sailor.
Right, the American sailor. Seen walking the decks, faded WWII uniform. People say he looks so solid they actually mistake him for a tour guide.
Asking him for directions even.
Apparently, only for
It's-
him to just vanish
Yeah.
mid-sentence sometimes or around a corner.
Given all that, it almost makes sense they lean into it,
Yeah.
turning the whole ship into a giant haunted house every October.
Haunting on the Blue Ghost, yeah.
Mm.
A very Texas way to embrace that dark history, maybe.
Maybe so. Okay, let's transition now. Moving away from the direct military conflicts to places built for, well, luxury.
Opulence, yeah. The grand historic hotels.
Places meant for comfort, maybe healing. But instead, a lot of them became these containers for personal tragedies, often about money or love gone wrong, the wealthy folks' problems.
It's a really interesting angle, isn't it? The idea that huge financial loss or ambition that just crashes and burns, that can anchor a spirit just as strongly as, say, dying violently.
Like at the Driskill in Austin.
Perfect example. Built by Colonel Jesse Driskill. Cattle baron spent a fortune on this magnificent hotel.
Only to lose it almost immediately.
Yeah, terrible drought wiped out his cattle, wiped out his fortune. He lost the hotel not long after it opened. Just devastating loss.
Who's the ghost? What does he do?
Fittingly, his presence is often signaled by the smell of cigar smoke. He liked his cigars. People sense him, sometimes see him, roaming the lobby. There's even a story his portrait winks sometimes. He's the ghost of ambition foiled by economics.
But the really famous one there is the bride, right? Room 329.
Oh, absolutely. A deeply sad story. This young woman arrives for her wedding, finds out her fiancé has totally abandoned her.
Awful.
And her response, she goes on this epic final shopping spree, charges thousands and thousands to the guy who left her, and then dies by suicide in the room.
So guests in that room.
They report feeling this overwhelming, just crushing sadness that doesn't make sense. Or, the typical poltergeist stuff, lights flickering, faucets turning on by themselves, residual heartbreak, maybe.
And that story even made it into music, didn't it?
It did. Jonette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde stayed at the Driskill, experienced things like lights turning on even when unplugged.
Wow.
And it directly inspired their song, Ghost of a Texas Ladies' Man. Proof that these hotel legends really do seep into the culture.
Okay, moving north a bit. The Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells.
Ah, the Baker. Once this super glamorous health spa drew celebrities for the mineral waters. It's closed now, but thankfully getting renovated. But yeah, it has at least two very active, very distinct ghosts.
Tied to tragedy again, I assume?
You bet. First, there's the red-haired mistress. Story goes she was the hotel manager's mistress, had a fight, and jumped from the 7th floor.
And how does she manifest?
She supposedly flirts with male guests, leaves behind the scent of lavender perfume, sometimes even lipstick stains on glasses that were clean.
Okay, a bit forward. And the other one?
The founder himself, T.D. Baker. He died of a heart attack right there in his fancy 11th floor suite.
Does he smell like cigars too? Seems to be a theme.
He does. But unlike the tragic mistress, Baker is apparently a bit of a prankster. He's known for stealing small things from tourists, keys, sunglasses, and then putting them back in weird places later.
All right, a mischievous founder. Now, we can't talk fancy hotels and sad stories without hitting Galveston, right? The Hotel Galvez.
The Queen of the Gulf, absolutely. And its most famous story is another romantic tragedy. The Lovelorn Lady.
Let me guess. Fiancé involved.
Yep. She checked into room 500 during World War I. Got wrong word. It turned out that her fiancé, a sailor, was lost at sea. She killed herself in the room.
Oh, no. And her haunting.
It's interesting how specific it is. Her presence is often announced by the sudden smell of gardenias, specifically near room 505, not 500, oddly enough.
Weird.
And the women's restroom off the main lobby seems to be her playground for poltergeist stuff, toilets flushing on their own, faucets turning on. Very focused activity.
Okay, one more hotel. This one's maybe less grand, but older. The Magnolia Hotel in Seguin.
Yeah, this one goes way back.
Yeah.
Stagecoach stop from 1840, one of the oldest. And the story with the current owners is pretty wild.
They bought it thinking it wasn't haunted.
That's what they were told. That belief lasted maybe a few hours.
Seriously, what happened?
They heard 3 super loud, aggressive knocks on the door, hours after signing the papers. Then this icy cold wind just rushed between them.
Instant haunting.
Pretty much. They quickly found out it's home to at least 13 identified spirits. People like Wilhelm Faust, an axe murderer who might have stayed there.
An axe murderer. Great.
And Emma Volker, a 12-year-old girl murdered back in 1874. The activity is apparently so constant and intense that every single attempt they've made to restore the place has been scared off by the spirits.
The ghosts are preventing renovations. Wow.
Seems like it. They're very protective of their space, maybe often associated with specific smells too, like rose perfume or pipe tobacco. Okay, so now let's shift gears again. Let's move away from, the structured buildings like hotels and forts and focus on some really unusual spots.
Yeah.
Strange roads, isolated places, and some hauntings that are described as particularly aggressive or just plain weird.
Aggressive sounds right for our first one. Yorktown Memorial Hospital.
Yeah, this place has a reputation. Former hospital, then a rehab facility run by Catholic nuns.
And the aggression comes from the nuns. Angry nuns.
That's what the sources call them. The spirits of these nuns are said to actually target visitors, specifically those with tattoos or piercings, especially if they go into the chapel area.
Target them how?
Reports of scratching, even feeling like they're being choked. There's like a form of judgment from beyond the grave for defiling their bodies.
That is incredibly specific.
Yeah.
And judgmental, like you said.
Very. But then, under the same roof, you have a completely different vibe with TJ the Prankster.
TJ, who is he?
A guy who apparently died of a heroin overdose right on the front steps of the hospital.
Okay, and his prank.
He's known for pinching women on the butt.
Seriously. That's wildly inappropriate, even for a ghost.
Right. A bizarre contrast to the angry nuns. But then you also have reports from the caretaker that are just deeply unsettling.
Like what?
Seeing these black shadows about the size of large dogs darting around and encountering a really tall figure, a man with glowing red eyes.
Red eyes. Okay, that steps into different territory. Demonic, almost.
It certainly sounds like it. It shows the range of reported phenomena in one location. Now, speaking of aggressive legends, Goatman's Bridge.
Old Alton Bridge, near Denton. This one's rooted in some really awful history.
Absolutely. Racial violence, social injustice. The story centers on Oscar Washburn, a successful black goat farmer back in the 1930s.
The Klan targeted him.
They did. Dragged him to the bridge, hanged him. But then supposedly his body just vanished when they looked down. Never found.
Leading to the Goatman legend.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And the legend has this challenge attached, this dare, that makes it even more terrifying.
What's the challenge?
You have to cross the bridge at night with your headlights off, mimicking the darkness before the Klan lit their torches.
Oh, wow.
Do that, the legend says, and you risk meeting the Goatman. It's a haunting directly born from historical trauma and cruelty.
Chilling. Okay, shifting from direct aggression to maybe mystery. Unexplained lights. Texas has famous ones.
Two really famous ones. First, Bragg Road near Saratoga, often just called the Ghost Road.
Right, this unpaved road through the woods. What's the light supposed to be?
It's said to be the lantern of a railroad worker, decapitated in an accident back in 1902. He's still searching for his head along the old rail line path.
A classic ghostly light origin story. And the other famous lights.
The Marfa Lights. Way out in West Texas. These are different, mysterious orbs of light, different colors, sizes. They move erratically.
And they've been seen for a long time, right?
Since at least 1883, consistently documented. Theories are all over the place. Atmospheric phenomena, maybe refractions.
Or more paranormal explanations.
Ancient Apache signal fires, ghosts of Spanish conquistadors looking for gold. Take your pick. I love the pop culture bit, though. James Dean was obsessed with watching them while filming Giant nearby. Had a telescope just for it.
That's a cool detail. We should also quickly mention the San Antonio ghost tracks.
Ah, yes. The pushing car legend. Popular, even if people argue about the physics.
The story is you stop your car in neutral on these tracks.
And the ghosts of little children, supposedly killed in a bus crash there years ago, will push your car safely across.
Leaving little handprints in the dust on your bumper sometimes. Even if it's maybe just gravity, it's a powerful folk legend about protection.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, one last quick one. An everyday kind of haunting in an old building. Le Carafe in Houston.
Oldest commercial building in Houston, right? Still a bar.
Exactly. And the haunting is pretty low-key, centered on a former bartender named Carl. Seems he just doesn't want to clock out.
So what does Carl do? Still mixing drinks?
Not quite. He opens and closes the old cash register on his own. Sometimes wine glasses will just crash off the shelf, and people feel intense cold spots, especially in the bathroom. Maybe his way of keeping the line moving.
A spectral bartender managing the flow. Okay, that was, wow, a lot of ground covered. So many specific places and stories.
It really is a huge amount of lore.
So just to recap for you listening, we've hit battlefields soaked in military history and sorrow, like the Alamo and Presidio La Bahía. We've walked the halls of grand old hotels like the Driskill and the Baker, where personal tragedies seem to echo.
We touched on those stranger spots, the aggressive spirits at Yorktown, the legendary lights, the Goatman's Bridge. A real mix.
And what's really striking, as you pointed out earlier, is how some of this is so geographically concentrated, especially San Antonio.
Exactly. You've got the Alamo, obviously.
Yeah.
But right there within blocks, you have the Menger Hotel, the Crockett Hotel, the Emily Morgan Hotel, all famously haunted, too. It's like those layers of intense history just stack up and amplify the paranormal claims over time.
That concentration really makes you wonder. And it brings us to a final, maybe provocative thought for you to chew on.
Okay, what have you got?
Well, our sources mentioned the DeSoto Hotel in El Paso. It was known for really aggressive, frankly terrifying spirits reports of scratching, biting, even a supposed demon caught on EVP, electronic voice phenomenon.
Right, I remember hearing about the DeSoto.
Yeah.
Nasty reputation.
But here's the thing. It burned down almost completely in 2022. The owners hope to rebuild it.
So the question is...
Yeah. What happens to those really aggressive entities when the physical building they're tied to is suddenly destroyed by fire? Do those spirits, the ones that scratch and bite the demon, or do they just vanish?
Disperse. Are they just waiting for the structure to be rebuilt so they can move back in and pick up where they left off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where do the ghosts go when their house burns down? Something to think about.